A surprise announcement for sure. I heard no word about Bleed Out debuting, and yet the minute you look at your feed and you examine Within Temptation's credits there of an either present or incoming debut, I'll clarify what I mean, because Bleed Out crosses both regards. The minute you see that, it's like you have to dig deeper. And we're going to be doing that together, mutually, as I love to enjoy music and company, right? I think it's better that way. And Within Temptation, what a beautiful band to showcase. For anybody that's a first name entrance, probably not maybe first name. They've got pretty wide circulation, even just on namesake. But maybe not everybody is gracing this video as dug deeper. Dutch symphonic metal. Favorite of mine in terms of the metal landscape, and then you cross in the European metal regard, and that's automatically attractive just on default of how many hours we've spent together enjoying European company. But Within Temptation, I've probably been listening to this group for about 2 years now, I think. We've had 3 on the channel thus far that we've got to entertain them together, this being the 4th. It has been wonderful to spotlight such a high-caliber symphonic metal talent, whether it be on the musical instrumentation or Sharon Denadil's vocals, which her credits alone need no explanation. She speaks for herself. But coming off of where we've been recently Within Temptation debuts in the single path, which I really like, by the way. I mean, if it were an album debut, it'd be fine too, but I like the singles that are giving us a much quicker conversation to hop back on the Within Temptation train. Coming off of Wireless, though, still such a stellar and potent number, and one that Bleed Out has some echoes with. Specifically on strength of narrative, where Within Temptation created such a spectacular picture of the tragedy of war, to various different types of explanations. I mean, that the visualizer alone encompassed a lot, and I'm surprised in terms of my first entrance with AI art application in the music world, how beautifully emotional that was. We've had a couple opportunities since of other groups as well trying that tool out, but Within Temptation was the first, and I thought they delivered mightily. I know many of you would concur based on your comments to that video. With Wireless was something special. Bleed Out, I think, is going to echo, just again, to set a simplicity statement on theming, offered by Blabbermouth, just for reference's sake. Within Temptation's next single, Bleed Out, addresses plight of women fighting for their rights in Iran. Equally cathartic, and I would imagine, again, resonant to, I'm sure, a number of listeners, especially for those who are in the midst of said issues. I do admire strength of narrative, again, when you couple that as well with real-world application to see that depth. And I would imagine, again, with Within Temptation's hand, considered by past experiences, we're in for something special. 2 episodes, in fact, coming. Not just this one, but with Bleed Out. Again, as I said, specialized release that I did debate in preparation. Do I want to stretch this out to a 21st, or do I want to cover it now? But because my itch needs to be scratched in terms of a first witness, I want to hear this with you. So we're going to be having a repeat occurrence where this video is going to consider this song. We're going to return to the song as well with the second video, but the visualizer component, which I'd imagine based on the thumbnail has that same AI art tool aesthetic, we're going to examine that on the 21st. I just want to humor this now, and we're going to do that together. As music, I love to spotlight it. As I've said many times before, first love in my life in terms of the artistic languages. And Within Temptation, what a beautiful attribution to my library. I've loved every song I've heard thus far, and I'm still making my way through their older library, but their new stuff is just absolutely fantastic. And to enjoy it with you, even better. Whether you happen to be long-time Within Temptation fans that perhaps exceed me, or fresh listeners, I hope for a mixture. Maybe you've never listened to Within Temptation before, perhaps you heard the name. This will be your first step, and I cannot wait for you to perhaps enjoy it alongside me. We're taking a mutual journey together, and Within Temptation is an absolute delight. I am sure, just on assumption of what we've seen demonstrated before on numerous occasions, but certainly with Wireless, Bleed Out is going to have equal potency. Real strength. It's slower on rhythm. Not bad, but that bass and that... it's a really emphasized dark tone. I love it. And that symphonic flair is just very dainty. Steady. I like the daintiness of Sharon's application on vocals here. Shifts a bit. A little more emphasized here. beautifully written. God bless she walks in her last winter. What a beautiful line. A little more subtle by comparison to the other numbers, but again, it has that metal root. I just love how it's explored here. That's a very empowering line. I mean, still like this picture of tragedy at the same time, but it's just so expressive. Like on the illustration alone. Beautiful echo attributions as well. Lovely intersection. Again, you get a lot with symphonic metal that I just admire the dimension. Beautiful illustration. I can't wait to see how this is going to manifest with the visualizer. I'm sure it's going to be imagined beautifully. Great accompaniment. I love the layering. That works. Especially as a transitional agent. It's a beautiful employ. Real strength on the number here. I mean, again, it's a little daintier by comparison to some of the Passive Incantation numbers, although, again, there's that metal fret. But the independence on the strumming, the isolation, good effects. Real charming anthem. There's a lot brought in with the line work here. Again, like I said, this duality between tragedy and empowerment, especially on the history of the subject matter, and how it's allowed to intersect is really interesting. There is a lot to that number that is so special. Again, as I said on Suspicion, Wireless's strength told differently. Different subject matter focus, but with equal eloquence. You just have to let that song sit with you. But even just on the first, sometimes it's hard, as I've said many times, in terms of this model I oftentimes use with first impressions, right? You're gauging a work on an initial glance, especially when you've not read further, and the piece is a first discovery to you. This very much is. I went in with completely fresh eyes, but again, with an understanding based on our previous experiences together with Indentation or with my personal ones. I know what I'm getting on the musical craftsmanship, and by comparison to the past numbers we've entertained recently, this is a little softer, even though, again, consistent metal fret, and that aggression isn't lost, it's just tailored differently. Symphonic metal, if you've never experienced it before, and it is my favorite, again, of the metal landscape, where I keep an open door intentionally. The atmosphere and the orchestral side to it, again, that's a favorite of mine. Just how wide of a canvas symphonic metal has. It's such a brilliant expression to investigate. And from within Temptation, we've had so many beautiful offerings, especially on, again, musical craftsmanship with independence between particular songs and different tones maintained, but consistencies on expectation of delivery. Again, there's such an evident strength to every one of their works. In every respect, not just on music. And the choices here, again, with the independence and how soft it is at times, but then again, it floats back into that aggressive route when it needs to. Especially to amplify the drama of the narrative. I love when you sense a song build the emotional drive of where the number is trying to strive to, at least again when you have the declaration offered. And then you have, of course, Sharon's beautiful vocals as always. A little daintier here. I like that. Again, it's a bit of a lighter inflection point. It's not as assertive. Well, I mean, it's assertive when it needs to be, but it trades off, right? But you enter the song and it has this ethereal presence. Again, a lighter inflection, which she can do so well. I love Sharon. She's just beautiful to listen to. The narrative, though, I am not the most astute news aficionado, particularly by choice, but I do have a bit of a semblance of a sense of what the song is speaking to, again, on the political side. It's a particularly modern song, again, addressing, well, contemporary and historical issues as well. And the way it's delivered, I mean, again, like I said, I'm not going to try and portray being a devout expert here, but from what I have heard, how this is expressed in floating between two tones of, again, having a deeply empowering song while still communicating perhaps the tragedy of history. And maybe modern circumstances, to be fair. She bleeds out. That line just sits. And again, there's brilliant illustrations in terms of, again, a provoking imagination. I can't wait to see if this is communicated on the visualizer. Again, based off of our experiences from wireless, that number was delivered with such honesty. But creativity, again, in the imagination. This, I would imagine, is going to float in the same territory. It just really impressed me of what they play around with. But as I read the narrative, God bless she walks in her last winter. That line, just on visual, really stands out. The halo around her head, it starts to linger. She bleeds out. By the way, I love that echo placement. That worked really well. Her fear has died. Her heart is still unbroken. There's a voice inside of me getting louder, breaking free. She bleeds out. Again, there's that jumping between... Maybe I'm just the only, I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one who sees this, right? Music is subjective, especially in how we introduce ourselves to it and how it sinks in, how we analyze it. So maybe I'm noticing things that maybe someone else might not be. Or maybe you're seeing things even that I'm not in just my general communication. Again, maybe this song takes more time to set in to best understand it. Just all what I'm seeing right now, what's communicated. To have lines that shift again between an even balance of tragedy and empowerment, at least in the way that I see it's hard at what it's driving to. The delivery is exceptional. To have lines that just so beautifully, again, flesh out tone in such a connective way. It's a gorgeous piece to take in. She bleeds out. I can't get over that line. I mean, again, the tragedy... But then again, the evolution of where the song's going in narrative, and it's trying to drive toward that empowered vision, beautifully communicated in either respect, and done with honorability and respectability. I really admire their pieces, especially recently. Again, these ones that have a deeper heart. That's been the story, really, to any of their songs we've humored for the most part. Especially, I'd say, in just off-the-cuff memory and reflection. Wireless and Don't Pray For Me. Those two really stand out. And there's been other numbers in the past, too. But in terms of the ones we've consulted together. Another attribution... In particular, again, like I said, this depth that's being explored with such creative ambition and perfect execution. And by the way, again, you want to talk about the strength to narrative and exploration, even the cover art. There's two I'm looking at presently. I don't know if one... I'm referencing the lyrics currently on what I'm reading off the Genius website, and there's a single art, yes. But then there's also, as everyone, you click on Bleed Out, I guess as an album? Or upcoming, at least it's collected about, 11 numbers in total, some pieces not having been released yet, or that's at least how they're labeled. There's separate cover art issued there. I don't know, maybe there's two different types of single pictures? Either way, both pictures beautifully speak to the theme of the song. That's exquisite single art. And if that's at least a taste of the visualizer, I can't wait to see if it's employed again in the AI art aesthetic. I'm sure it's going to be something beautiful. And again, we're getting to that in a separate video when it debuts, as soon as. I just couldn't wait on Within Temptation. You just have to hear their works. Again, coming off of Wireless, that was something quite beautiful. And Bleed Out, different to its own respect, but still equally as reverential. Sets in just as nicely as any one of their pieces do, whether it be from whatever angle or approach you look at these songs, whether it's on the instrument side, the musical management, the vocal presence of Sharon, as always, or a narrative. These are just such strong pieces. I'm loving the recent singles that we're enjoying together thus far. I mean, as I've said many times, music, to enjoy it mutually is even better, right? Then it's fine in isolation, but it means, I think it makes experience better when we enjoy it together, right? And from whatever angle or approach we take. And of course, I welcome your discussion down below in this song, and I'd love to hear again how you approach. Familiarized listener, fresh introduction, I do hope there were some of you, and that was your first step into Within Temptation. Something special in terms of a number. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below if you do, of course, wish to provide feedback. Again, these recent debuts are something special. I'm loving the opportunities, though, to humor Within Temptation with you. These pieces just really stand out. Bleed Out, equally as reverential, I'd say, in past numbers like Don't Pray For Me or Wireless. Those ones really do stand out, apart from other ones I've recognized here. In total, I've loved everything from Within Temptation, but the depth to these pieces and how it's explored creatively just really impresses me. I can't wait to see again how we added Visualizer in, right? And that context is coming as of the 21st. Hopefully I'll have the video up maybe as soon as possible. I don't know. I'm always late to everything. But for sure, the promise from me, Visualizer survey incoming. And it'll be fun to enjoy Bleed Out again with an extra dimension welcomed. But on a first taste, just as special as I expected it would be. And from Within Temptation, I'm impressed as always. I'm sure a number of you are as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.